Alright, so in this video I want to introduce you to a new topic called matrices, and the singular version of that word is matrix. And a matrix is basically just a series of rows and columns, and you just put numbers in there. It can be used to organize data, and we'll see examples of that as we go along. But in this particular video, all I want to show you is how to add, subtract, and multiply matrices using something called scalar multiplication. And that sounds a little imposing, but it's actually even easier than adding and subtracting, and adding and subtracting are not all that hard. Okay, so the basic strategy is here is all we have to do is find the corresponding values in each matrix. So for example, this matrix here and this matrix here, and then depending on whether it's an addition or subtraction problem, we add or subtract. Here's the important thing to note too. You can only add and subtract matrices if they have the exact same dimensions. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So for example, this particular matrix has just one row, and it has 1, 2, 3 columns. Columns are like the up and down parts of this, and the rows are the horizontal part. So that's a 1 by 3 matrix. You usually write matrices as rows by columns. So you can only add and subtract if they have the same exact dimension. So this one right here has 1, 2, 3 rows, and it has 1, 2 columns. So that's a 3 by 2, and so is this, and so is this. That's really important because obviously you don't want to try to start the problem if it's not even possible. So we have to make sure that we can even do it. Okay, but both of these will be possible. So we'll do the first one together, and I encourage you to try to pause it and see if you could do number 2 on your own. Okay, so first answer right here. I'm just going to kind of color code these. So the corresponding values right here would be 2. Actually, let me use a different color there. 2, and then there's a minus right there, minus -6. So 2 minus -6, and let's just start to write our answers as we go along. What is 2 minus -6? That's the same thing as 2 plus 6, and that does equal 8. Okay, our next value is going to be 2, again, minus -4. So 2 minus -4, that's the same as 2 plus 4, and that equals 6. And then finally we have -6 minus 0, and -6 minus 0 is -6, and that's all you have to do is just add and subtract the corresponding values. In that case, subtract. Alright, this one right here is a little bit trickier, so I'm going to rewrite this first matrix outside because we have to follow the order of operations here. So notice there's a parentheses right here, so we have to subtract, and then we'll see what our matrix is going to be that we get out of this parentheses right here. Okay, so there's a minus right there, so we have to do 5 minus 2, and that equals 3. Okay, then we have to do -2 minus 1, and that equals -3. Then we have to do 4 minus 5, which is -1. Then we have to do -1 minus -4. Minus -4 is like plus 4, so -1 plus 4 would be +3. See if we don't run out of colors here. Then we have 0 minus 5. All we're doing is just subtracting the corresponding values again. And then finally we have 5 minus -5. That's like 5 plus 5, which is 10. So this whole thing right here just collapses down to that single matrix, and then we have the minus, which is still there, and then we just have to do this one more time. So let's try to do that now. So once again we have 2. There's a minus. 2 minus 3 would be -1. Then we have -4 minus -3. That's like -4 plus 3, which is -1 again. And then we have 0 minus -1, that's like 0 plus 1, which is 1. Next thing we have to do is 4 minus 3, which is 1. And then, let's see here, we have 6 minus -5, that's like 6 plus 5, which is 11. And then our last value is 4 minus 10, and that's going to give us -6. And there's our final answer right there. Alright, last one I want to show you is how to do what's called scalar multiplication. This is even easier. All you have to do is take this number outside, which is called the scalar, because it's what you're scaling each thing by. Multiplying is another name for scaling, and just multiply it inside. So -5 times -5 is 25. -5 times 5 is -25. -5 times -6, +30, and -5 times -4, +20, and that's our answer. Okay, the next one's a slightly more difficult because we have multiple numbers here, so we're going to just distribute each of those and still keep that -2 outside. Okay, so we have -3 times -6, that's +18. -3 times 5 is -15. Then we have -3 times 1, -3. And then we have -3 times -3, +9. And then our final answer is just going to be after we after we do the same thing with this negative 2. So negative 2 times 18, negative 36. Negative 2 times negative 15, positive 30. Negative 2 times negative 3, positive 6. And then our last result is negative 2 times 9, and that's negative 18. And that is how we scalar multiply matrices together. Hopefully it makes sense.